F.A.Q.
Yeah, the pollen, man. There's just a lot of pollen.
Those damn male trees.
Damn you. Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Ike from Flipside Music, and welcome to F.A.Q. Season 3, episode 26-ish.
25. Yeah.
And I'm here with
Dylan.
And we're here for all your questioning needs and concerns.
Yes.
So, let's jump right into it this week because we're a little tired. Went out. I might have went out and hung out at some metal. Listened to some metal.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah, I didn't do anything fun, just bad couple nights sleep, so nothing that fun. I mean, I played myself, but... Well, no, you know what I mean. I played for the neighbors.
Okay. Well, segue.
That was only one word away.
Good. Sorry, we're all giggly this morning. All right, so jumping right in, Ben Coombs says, with the big move happening, I assume you'll be missing or skipping Summer NAMM. I will. We will.
Yeah, and to be honest, I actually didn't realize they were going to go through with it. I guess.
Oh yeah, they announced it earlier.
So everything that they keep everything they announced for the summer in terms of bands has all been canceled again.
Yeah, they announced it earlier. I mean, earlier in the year, but it was just.
I figured with the whole Delta variant thing, I didn't know if that would. Who knows? Because a lot of the European stuff's been canceled because of that. Just because in the UK, that's the main thing. Like they're having, I think, more cases of the Delta shit than they are regular stuff.
I just don't want to get the Southwest variant. But I'll be here all weekend.
It's like
tip your bartenders and waiters.
Well, it's like, does the Delta variant mean that there's a beta and an alpha variant also out there?
You would think that possibly.
Yeah.
What's the C?
It's like they're all just getting pumped.
What would be?
Yeah, I always wondered what it's not the Charlie, because that doesn't work. Alpha, beta, Charlie.
That's the name of the guy's name.
Alpha, beta, Charlie.
So yeah, we're not going to Summer NAMM. It's right now with the business. The business is busy, and then obviously with all the new building thing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's impossible to pull away from that. And to be honest, we don't need to go. I mean, the only thing it really would be is like a social trip.
That part would be nice, but
some people,
right?
But right now, for business wise, it's just not worth it to go. Yeah. So.
And since you're bringing it up, Ben, does that mean you are going or no?
He might be.
He might be. I mean, hopefully
come out and hang out in Denver.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who knows? We might be having our own NAMM-ish show out here someday.
Yeah, you never know. We might be
working up to it.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah.
How you do?
Nudge, know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Nudge, nudge, wink. All right. Cullen James says, I heard some suits talking about the new Fender engine room power supply. What are your thoughts? So we haven't got any of the engine rooms in yet. They're on order. Before I heard they're supposed to be nice, but I also heard that from my rep.
Right.
So that's like asking a chef how your most delicious dish is.
Oh, they're all good.
Right. They're all great. So until we actually get one to plug in, I mean, they look cool. The attributes seem good.
Yeah.
Now, that in practice, we have to. We'll try it out when we get one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of companies are... It's weird that the power supply spot seems to be the spot that everybody's kind of revisiting. Because for a while, it was like everybody kind of defaulted to Voodoo. And then when, obviously, Walrus and Strymon, the main benefit they have going is they don't have the toroidal transformers or whatever, so they're lower. Huh?
Which ones?
Toroidal? I don't know. I think that's what they're... Tortoises. They don't have the tortoises transformers.
Because they got the hard shell on top. That's what saves all your pedal things.
Exactly. That hard blue shell. It's the candy coating on the aluminum. But I can't say until we get it and put it,
through its paces.
Yeah, basically see if it has,
We should take all of those pedals that customers return because they say it's got a weird sound.
Oh, and run it through that
and run it through that to make sure.
Actually, there are a few
because it never turns out to be the pedal's fault.
Right. There are a few I know for sure, obviously, like if it does well with the cattle and bred stuff, I mean, that's always, but most isolated supplies will handle that just fine. So
Yeah.
we'll just have to see, I guess, once we get it in, because
I think it'll be pretty good. They've done well with that whole pedal line that they introduced a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's good. If you haven't visited any of those Fender pedals,
Well, yeah,
you know
'cause
it's Fender.
I think they kind of overwhelmed people with them. I mean,
Because
to
they
be
actually
honest.
sounded pretty good.
Well, that, and they released so many so quickly.
Yeah, they could have probably slowed their roll. But the
Yeah.
Pugilist is a pretty good. That Pugilist is a good.
Well,
good
all the mini tube drives that they've been putting out with that, and the trem, the MTG trem, that was a sweet one.
Tram with your tram.
You and your trem. Yeah, creme.
I need more creme in my cafe.
But yeah, I mean, we'll
Yeah.
just have to see once we get them in, because at this point, we've heard the same suits talking,
Yeah,
and that's about it.
and they were talking to us.
Yeah.
So, all right. Tim White says, "What do you appreciate about YouTube guitar reviews? If you could make the perfect review, what would it consist of?" Let's answer that part first, because the
second part?
What do you appreciate about YouTube guitar reviews at this point? Well, no, I'll answer that. Fuck.
Yeah, I guess it was just good.
So I'm kind of. I don't think either one of us watch a lot of reviews on our own time.
No, I
We
mean,
watch them here at the store. I know that sounds weird, but it's not. It's more like not watching. We got a TV in the front with the
Right.
pedals. We'll put something on. It'll be
yeah.
going over maybe a new pedal that we have, so we kind of watch that to get a bit of information. Or
Or if we're looking at a new company, we'll throw a few videos on and see what it's all about.
But as far as reviews, the problem I have sometimes is that you'll have a reviewer, got a lot of subscribers, but it's their job. So
Well, and it's their job to make it sound good.
it's their job to make it sound good, but some of the guys, everything sounds the same. So there's a couple YouTube guys that we both agree, every time the guy plays something, it sounds no matter what it is, it basically sounds the same way.
Well, and there's
cues it.
Yeah, I was
It's
just,
back end stuff.
right. I was gonna say, yeah, without naming names, I mean, there's two distinct examples that come to mind for me, but one of them I feel like is an exceptional player, but because of the way he does that, it does sort of it skews it to where I'll watch his stuff if I know that I'm looking for that specific sound.
Right.
Whereas like anything else, I don't really care because I know that it's going to sound pretty much like he does. So.
Yeah, and then the other thing is with other reviewers, it's like there's the QVC reviewers that no matter what, it's always great. I mean, there's a giant company, not in this country, that they are the QVC. I think it's everybody's default QVC review channel. Mm-hmm. And I just don't. I think.
Well, yeah, and I mean, even if
I don't want to know everything that's always great. It's always the best thing. Like, I think when you frame it, so this kind of goes into the second part. Then again. I just want somebody to frame it for its usages, and I think that's where Andy sometimes shines.
Yeah, he does.
He plays the pedal. He plays something that
suits the pedal.
suits the pedal because that's what you're doing.
Yeah, he's not like, does this make me do more of me? He doesn't kind of do that.
Right.
As a demonstrator, he does actually demo what the thing is capable of, not just what he would do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's so. I kind of like that approach. I mean, I think that's why him and when Pro Guitar Shop was around, they were so successful.
Well, that's what I was going to
Because
say.
it was very informative, and it wasn't like the same shit over and over. It was playing to the pedal.
Right.
So,
Well, and I was going to say, as he refined his approach, I would say like towards the middle and end of the Pro Guitar Shop demos, those are probably my favorite format. If anything, I personally, because I think Tim actually did kind of talk about that in terms of our demos, was that he did actually like the ones where we have the pedal and then the text next to it while that's going. And I personally really like that because I like to just sit there and focus on listening, and then when I'm watching it, then you can get the other info about, any of the details that somebody might want you to know. But a lot of times, like, if a reviewer ends up hitting the ground running with a long spiel, I'm usually out, because like that's the thing, like any of the guys too that like they do all this stuff like, oh, we're gonna take this for a spin, and then like 7 minutes later they're still like plugging stuff in and talking about some other dumb shit, and it's like, no, you're tuning in to watch a very specific thing. At most, the intro should be 20 to 30 seconds, I think. At most.
So I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I think it's cool to be able to, you have the face-to-face.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is so-and-so from XYZ YouTube channel. Today we're going to be checking out this
Right.
ABC pedal.
Right.
Boom, and then you kind of go at it, and then, if there's something there, you could, put some text. We're running it through, a made in Mexico Stratocaster into a deluxe reverb.
Yeah.
That's another thing too on reviews is that I don't want to see you plugging in a pedal that's $200 into $8,000 worth of gear, because I don't own that, and I'm probably not going to own that, and most of the people that we know are not going to own that, except for the doctor or the lawyer or some shit like that, and that guy probably can't even play anyway. So, give me gear.
But you're 100% correct.
Give me gear that is normal people would use.
Right. Well, because even I really do actually enjoy Rhett Scholl's videos with Rick Beato. Like when the two of them are together, I don't necessarily like it just on their own, but together I really like their videos. But when I looked into the rack units that they use just for the preamp EQs for their recording, it's most of those are $2,000 a pop, if not more, for each channel. And it's just some of those setups for just the recording part of it would be far, far more than most people have for their entire setup.
Right.
So for me, hearing things, like you said, through stuff that everyday people can have, or even just a normal,
what's reverb?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Something that
Even if it's a boutique thing, like a Dr. Z, if it's a Z-Lux, something that's at least familiar, or even, Mesa's. Mesa's clean channels are almost always Fendery. So it's if it's something in that ballpark that people are familiar with.
Right.
Or even when, a lot of reviewers, including us, are actually using the Iridium a lot, and it's that one's perfect because you can hit, a Plexi, a Vox, and a Blackface, and so it's those are the three that I feel most guitar players are going to be most well acquainted with, and
something that's familiar and accessible,
right,
at a reasonable price. So let's recap.
Yeah,
quick intro. Do the video with some text because I like that too. I do the same thing. I want to hear it and I want to read what's going on. I don't want to have a whole bunch of extra. Now, Andy always did panning, and then he had, hi, this is Andy from Pro Guitar Shop. It's 74 degrees outside.
Well, right, and I'm a very visual person, so a lot of that is when I start to sort of tune out. Whereas if somebody throws those little tidbits of information in, if they throw that in text, I'll be okay, that's cool, but you're still getting to, I don't know, let the product speak for itself, and you're just listening to that. You're not I don't feel it's not a lot of hype, but a lot of those guys almost do a sales pitch before they play it for you.
Well, some of them are getting paid to sell it.
Yeah, but it's that's the thing though, to me, I guess if we're talking about our own ideals, it would be if the product was solid, you would just kind of roll right into it. Just let the product kind of do its own talking. Because especially even recording on cheaper gear, like you said, if it still sounds good,
it's going to make that cheaper gear sound better.
Well, yeah, it's we've always,
I mean, how many times we had guys come in here that demand the highest quality, whatever, and you sit them down, they sound like a bag of shit.
Right, yeah, our guy that'll come in and he wants to use our $2,500 Heritage to try out a $99 overdrive, and it's that's not necessary, and it's I guarantee you if it sounds good with some not so great
Blues
gear,
Junior.
that it's going to sound even better when you get it through your good gear. So
yeah, sorry we went off on a tangent.
No, we did, but it's that. I think that's important.
We might be hitting on some
yeah.
sore spots with us.
Well, yeah, the value though of hearing it on something close to what you're going to use, even yesterday, dude was not going to pull the trigger on the R1 until I kind of insisted that he go ahead and try it with as close as we could get to his rig in-house, and he loved it.
Yeah,
so it's he went from
he's already familiar with.
Right, and it sounded like what he was expecting. Whereas if we had just stuck him or demanded that he play on a deluxe reverb, he wouldn't have bought that pedal.
Right.
So it's a lot of that stuff, the closer you can get to, now you can't hit all the bases because not everybody, to me, Vox is probably the outlier. I don't know if you feel that way. Any reviewers that use Vox style amps, I have a harder time with because I'll never, I like Voxes, but they're not the amp for me.
No.
So that's one where I'm I don't necessarily tune out, but I don't really care that much because when you hear it in a Vox, it's a totally different experience than Fenders and Marshalls.
I was going to say, I think that's where our home kind of is. Yeah. It's Fender, Marshall,
right,
kind of vibes, and that's what sounds that's what we normally gravitate to. Anyway,
yeah.
Maybe some orange.
Well, that's what I mean. I love Voxes. It's just not it. I don't want to say it means nothing to me when I hear gear through it, but it kind of does because it's
you're
you're
dead to me.
Well, yeah, it's I have no amp that does that full negative feedback removal to where it's just it hollows it out because Voxes they sound cool, but
It's just not for you.
Yeah, I just don't have an amp that sounds that.
By the way, we do sell Vox.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I'm not saying anything bad about them. They're just not the amp for me.
Stop shitting on my Voxes, man.
I'm going to shit on them.
You keep shitting in a Vox? All right, we went off the rails with that. We went so far away from that question.
Not really, though, because, I mean, I think, like, we got into parts of, the details of what our ideals...
minutia?
Yeah, of what reviewers would need to... Because, like I said, the gear is pretty important. And actually, now that you mention it, like the 65... I don't know, you didn't really mention it, but I'm going to say you did anyway. The 65 amp Soho thing that Andy... Like, that was another one. I remember, like, when he used to use that, and I still don't know, like, what that thing... Like, I'm assuming it's Fendery, but when he always like, we're going to try this through a 65 Soho or whatever he would always say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I always assumed it was probably like a boutique version. I just never really looked into it. But that was one that always used to get me too when I first looked at reviews. I'm like, I don't know what that amp sounds like.
Like in real life, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like if somebody says, a deluxe reverb
like.
or a JTM 45 or a, JCM
Junior
or yeah, any of those, like I know exactly what those sound like because there's a million recordings of them, but
right.
And, they're just more common. So I think that's part of it. But anyway.
All right.
Last one.
Camacho de Muchacho says, what are the real differences between a silver and gold Klon? And which modern takes on the Klon style pedal do you guys like the most?
So this is a fairly common question, but it's probably worth revisiting a lot because people keep coming out with different clones. Real difference, I'm sure somebody could give you guys more of a difference. As far as I know, it comes down to the clipping diodes. And the clipping diodes on the silver ones were silicon, and the ones on the gold one were germanium. To me, that's always been easy to remember, like gold, G, germanium, silver, S, silicon. So I assume that's why he did it. I don't know, but yeah, that's really the difference.
Answer,
yeah, that's that's the main difference. And honestly, most clones, like the Archers, the Ryra, well, the Ryras actually don't follow that, but the Archers generally always, that's the same thing. Gold, the Icon version is the germanium one.
Mm-hmm. So modern takes, that would be one.
Well, in terms of a difference, though, like germanium versus silicon. You and I both, I feel like, because we have that clone by tone, it doesn't really matter because we have both on that one in terms of silicon and germanium.
That's if you're looking for a Klon type pedal, check out Clone by Tone.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's probably after all these years, I would say that's my favorite. Yeah,
but it really is.
It's worth the space. Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of really tweak a lot of stuff. Plus, it
has that.
I almost veered off the trail.
Oh. So I was going to say it does have that cool double gain switch. So essentially it runs the way as far as I understand, the way he ran it would be like if you had another Klon, basically with everything set at noon, hitting the front end. So like when you click that in, it'll essentially almost do like another 50% gain or so. And that's why I really like that one because you can get it a little meaner than like the regular ones.
Yeah.
That and you don't have to have two because a lot of guys will just buy like two Klons and then hit them together.
No, that's a cool. It was money well spent as far as I'm concerned.
In terms of the difference with silicon and germanium, though, I would say at band volume, if you didn't know what you were plugged into, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. I would say the big part of it is feel for me because the germanium ones tend to be a little looser feeling, a little more textural, whereas like the silicon ones feel a little tighter. So generally, like the silver, like even with the Archers, the silvers generally always go to like the metal and rock guys, and then we almost always sell icons to like the blues and jazz guys.
Yeah, I like the icon.
Yeah, I think the Icon's smoother. So, generally the germanium one, it's just, I would also say it doesn't usually have as much gain, but it's such a minimal, it's maybe like a 10% difference that I feel like it's not that big of a deal.
And we probably sell the gold ones more than the silver ones.
Yeah, it's almost like if somebody,
probably 2-3
made your favorite recipe and like they did like a little extra of something and you decided you liked that more.
Vanilla.
Yeah. It's like that's
weed.
Yeah, it's like
if somebody put a little extra something in your brownies.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a little extra 10% difference. It's not that there's anything wrong with either of them. They're both great. You just got to find out which one you like the best.
You like a little better.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of modern, I think we went through Ryra, the J Rocket Archers. People do like the Tumnus. I
don't think it falls into that.
Yeah, because to me it's just such a big departure. Like
it's not. It's further away from it. It's a good pedal.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong,
Well, that
it's
one
farther
fits. To
away
me, that
from
one
the
fits
Klon.
in like with the Oxblood. Like it's inspired by the Klon, but it's not like it doesn't really feel or function.
Then you got
like
Soul
one.
Food.
Yeah, the Soul Food.
Soul Food. Soul Food.
Soul.
Solder. Soul Food's a good pedal too on a budget. But because it's funny, we'll have guys that come in like, I'm looking for this, and then the Soul Food because it's budget, and then we're like, well, maybe just try this one next to that one.
Yeah.
And so I think the Soul Food's good if it's a standalone.
That, and if you're using it more as a boost,
As a
not
boost,
as
yeah.
gain, like because like I would say that's where it starts to lose the fight. Is it gets a little shrill when it comes to like driving the gain on that one a little higher.
Yeah, and when you put it like next to it, that's why we kind of give them an Archer too. Like here, try that too, or a Ryra, and there's a huge difference once you get there. But I mean, all in all, for on a budget, it'll get the job done.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know what I mean?
Well, and at the heart of it, I think the Klon thing for
Sacred Cow.
yeah, I love the Sacred. I was gonna say at the heart of it to me, the
Mojo
Klon thing is that blend. Like the gain needs to be a true blend, or else it starts to just feel like other widely produced overdrives. Like if it doesn't have that, because to me, like the Klon thing should really just. The reason I love it is because you send it into an amp that you already love. It just gives you more of that. Like it shouldn't. Because I feel like a lot of people is debate over like the transparent overdrive thing, and it's like to me like what that word means now to me is more that it just blends in properly with the amp you're running.
You get more amp guitar sound.
Right, yeah, because like anytime I used to ever like do a tube screamer versus like an Archer, you always know when the tube screamer like it always just has the sound. It pulls a good part of your EQ out on the low end. It spikes it in the mid range. Whereas like the Klon, just like if you already loved what was going on and you just need to get that at a basically get your amp driven at a lot quieter volume, that was always the go-to one. And to me, like I can't even say the last time I even looked at a tube screamer, having gone over to Klons.
Right. I prefer it. We've never been tube screamer guys anyway.
No, but it's like it took me finding like the Klon spot before I was like, oh, okay, finally. I finally found like my overdrive area, because the other ones, I love treble boosters, obviously. That's my other big one. And I probably use that actually more than I use the Klon stuff. And if we're talking just overdrives, I would say like it really does come down to the people that want that, that curve that the treble boosters, that tube screamers have, because I don't know, it just never worked for me. And if you don't have like a black face, I feel like it just doesn't ever add anything.
Doesn't really do the thing.
Yeah.
But all right, I think we've rambled enough for one morning.
Yeah.
It's getting warm in here.
It is getting warm. It's weird too, because I turned the AC down when we started.
Hot.
It is getting toasty.
All right, well that's it. We're gonna wrap it up, right? We're good?
Yeah, we're done.
Stay tuned. I'm hoping within the next couple weeks I will get you guys a video on the new building. Nothing's really happened yet, so there's nothing to show unless you want me to sit there in an open room and do nothing.
Yeah.
So
just do a live stream of an empty room.
Yeah, just an empty room. This is great. That's it. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a great 4th of July too, by the way.
Yes. What's the Canadian 4th of July?
Bacon.
Bacon Day. Happy Bacon Day.
Happy Bacon Day, Canadians.
Yeah.
Okay, boys, let's go up there and get some bacon there, huh?
It's maple syrup, eh?